football.
Really?
There's a lot of football and basketball. I think there are many more sport programs on than there used to be. Otherwise, I don't think there's such a big change, outside of the fact that when we were doing Show of Shows, of course, it was live. And now everything is on tape, and they stop the tape and can fix things up a bit.
Do you think there's more liberalism on television today than there has been in the past?
I don't think so. I'm not aware of that, because I do a lot of television work. I do a lot of guest appearances, and it seems, censor-wise, it seems to be the same as it was when we were doing a weekly show.
The some 500 people that are attending this public hearing by the Texas Air Control Board all agree on one thing. Clean air is important. How important is the point of contention? Ned Fritz, who is president of the Air Quality Coalition, is that correct?
Of North Central Texas.
Right. It's one of the people that agree that clean air is very important. How do you feel about the state standards?
These proposed emission standards, it seems to me, are reasonable and are necessary in order to maintain the quality of air in Texas. We have a few minor suggestions to close loopholes, but as far as the overall regulations are concerned, the people of Texas must have these to maintain a quality environment.
A large number of observers seem to sympathize with the opinions expressed by Harry Clark of the Texas Industrial Development Council.
We who are on the firing line for industrial growth in this state have been told by investing industrialists that if these standards are enacted, that Texas would remove itself from the competitive position of new and expanded industry. We feel that certainly they should be, and we urge that the state does have standards that would provide clean air for the people of Texas, but we also urge they take under consideration the economic impacts of too severe requirements and too severe restrictions as proposed.
Dan Burleson, Deputy Executive Secretary of Enforcement and Legal Services, was a spokesman for the Air Control Board.
The criticism so far has been that we have not taken into consideration the economics of the situation. Now, if we can review the testimony and find that it isn't economically impossible, that would make it technically impossible for any of these industries to meet these standards. And if they're unreasonable, of course, we will have to review them and we will have to adopt different standards. But we have already done most of this. And we have a feeling that if the people who are responsible for meeting these standards have reviewed these and they are being very honest, that they can be met, economically speaking.
Fort Worth City Councilmen generally agree that the bus problem in Fort Worth is deteriorating rapidly and has been for several years. What James Simpson and Clarence Malvo of the Action Now Evans Avenue Block Partnership are concerned about is not the state of bus service, but how fast can it be improved from where it is now.
We are asking the City Council, we are asking the City of Fort Worth to assume responsibilities of the transit problem in our area, and include this in your budget this coming year. We'll approach this council in the near future to see if you all can help us.
And I think that the city of Fort Worth, being the city that it is, and it probably would jump to about about 1 million in population in the next 5 years. I think that this probably should be taken into consideration in the next fiscal year budget.
Mayor Sharkey Stovall is generally concerned about the cost of any proposed transit company takeover, but Councilman Ed Gwynn is determined that bus service be improved at any cost.
It was interesting, I noticed or observed on the tube yesterday, one of our nearby cities having transit problems, particularly after they had just acquired and bought an entire new fleet of buses and are operating them. They're operating at a $900,000 loss today. Somebody is going to have to pick up the tab of this $900,000. If we were in that position in Fort Worth today, it would be the responsibility of us at this council table, and we have that responsibility at the present time, to take care of a $900,000 loss. It's a very complex problem. We are working on it.
Your appearance here certainly dramatizes the problem and adds a sense of urgency to searching for and arriving at a solution.
Clarence Malvo told me after the City Council meeting this morning that he had not known previously that the city was engaged in negotiations with the transit company for a possible takeover. He said this did encourage him. However, he said he wishes he had known it sooner. It's been going on for several years now. There have been snags in the negotiations. Probably they won't be resolved in time for the next fiscal year's budget, but perhaps by 1973 or 1974, the city of Fort Worth may be in the transportation business. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
you know, you're talking about, are we really going to lose a lot of education if we keep worrying about these things? It's true sometimes in some of my classes, we spend, I'd say we spent 4 or 5 days just talking about dress code or about why we had smoking taken away from us, you know, where we could have been learning some English. So I think what we're trying to do, I'm trying to do, is just try and get rid of all this stuff that's hampering us from getting a better education, like the hassle with the armbands and dress code and smoking rights and all that, you know. I'm just trying to get down to basic education.
This paper has an interesting observation. It says, are we really to believe that the appearance of a few long-haired males will topple the pillars of educational domination?
If he was toppled, possible. Really, maybe it's not relevant, but that.
I think that some of the industry spokesmen have unfounded misapprehensions about the result of the standards. I think that they're putting all of their emphasis upon getting more jobs and making more profits. And they're ignoring the quality of the environment after an opening rhetorical statement, oh yes, we must have clean air. Then they say, but not at the expense of our bringing more plants into Texas. We think that the emphasis is on maintaining a quality environment for the people of Texas who live here and those who will follow us, and not mainly just to get more jobs and more profits.
Do you feel that the standards proposed are stricter than any other states?
No, these standards are in line with and actually generally adapted from standards that have been applied in other states.
Well, because there's a small fraction of people who get teacher certificates and enter our profession, although they are indeed dishonest and unethical. Now, frankly, establishing that a person is dishonest or unethical is a very complicated process, and you have to be sure, because we don't want to accuse anyone wrongly. We don't want to give the impression that this is a blanket indictment, and yet I think our teaching profession will be stronger if the few dishonest, unethical, corrupt people can be deleted from our profession.